Hi guys, Chox here. Welcome back to the Basics playlist. Let's get to the table and see what tool we're having a look at next. Here we are, video number 7, tips about tips. All right, we can get so carried away in how many different tips we need to do our cake decorating that we lose sight of, what exactly we have in our cake decorating tip box. All right, so first off, couplers. Couplers, super duper important for any sort of things. Don't lick the tripod, dude. All right, so honestly, when it comes to tips of what I use for my basic cake decorating, the tips that I use, I have very few of my go-to. I have a small flower tip, which is that angled one. Let's see if I can bring this in, which is the angled one. Okay. I actually do have a large flower tip as well. One of my go-tos is a star tip. All right, it's got a jagged edge on the outside. Can I bring that in enough? You see that jaggedy edge? And I have a writing tip, which is a very small round tip. Now the thing about writing tips, I like around a size 3. You don't want to make your round tip too small because then it'll shoot lines out that are all wiggly, and you don't want it too big because each letter will take up too much room. Now I use that tip for writing, for accents, for little dots, for little details that you need to do. Eyeballs. Things like that, like on animals or the center part of flowers, doing little details in that way. Then of course the grass tip. Grass tip is great for hair, for grass, for bushes, I guess, in that sense. Okay, so those are my go-to ones, and I usually have a round tip on hand, although you can cut a piping bag to have a round tip. Now, one of the great things is my beautiful mother-in-law gave me this kit, this tip kit, and so I looked it up online. You can get it for about $30. Like, it is amazing the tip kits that you can get these days. You do not need to spend a whole lot of money. You can even go into the big box store and get them individually. So if you are just getting started and only need a couple of tips, this may be the way to go. There's also like the 3-pack, like what you're going to use them for together. Leaf, flower, flower. All right. Now, just because a tip says it is used for something doesn't mean it's the only thing it can be used for. So with the star, for example, the star tip, the Wilton method, right? You're squeezing each star tip. Well, you can also use star tip to make rope. You can use star tip for bordering. You can use star tip to make flowers. You can use star tip to do whatever shape design that you want it to. I encourage you to play with the tips. Now, something else to keep in mind, I have a little container that I keep a lid on, so that because I have accumulated a lot, I keep them grouped. So I have like my favorite tips in this, so I can easily grab them. I have my flower tips in there. And keep in mind, you guys, I've been doing this a very, very long time, so I have accumulated some pieces. Now, one of the things I want to give you a big warning about, I know these were really popular a few years ago, the Russian tips. But I can tell you I have never actually used these tips yet. I am worried about how much icing they're going to go through. And B, the piping bag situation, right? So it takes a lot of icing to do these flowers, plus having a big enough piping bag. Standard piping bag will kind of get the job done, but you have to refill it in between each one. All right, so the standard tip sizes, the openings, they fit. It's a standard size. They'll fit on the couplers, all right? You could get these in little 2-packs, just like your tips. Slip it on there, and there they go. They are a couple. They go together. All right, so there is, I don't think I have anything else to tell you, any more tips about tips to tell you. don't feel like you have to go out and get absolutely everything for like ribboning, for specific types of flowers, for other specific types of flowers. All right, so as we're getting started, you only need a couple of tips. I highly recommend a writing tip, a star tip, a flower tip, and a round tip. All right, the grass is just a bonus because it does grass and hair. But yeah, keep in mind, like, what are you decorating? What are you going to be using a lot of? What is your interest, right? You can do a lot of really, really pretty flowers with just these tips. You can do, oh my gosh, I can't even name them all. Like tulips and roses and dahlias and, oh my gosh, dahlias. All sorts of really, really pretty flowers. You just have to practice and really let your imagination go wild. Okay, so there are all the tips for now on tips and the little ones that you need. So I am going to put a little window up here for you to click through to the next video in the series. Thank you, thank you, thank you for watching Back to the Basics Cake Decorating Tools playlist. And our next one is going to talk about rose nails and scissors.